Hey guys, happy Friday. In this video, we're going to talk about PCE. It just released today. We'll talk about a report from JP going over IREN, CleanSpark, and Riot, what they see as the better buy. I'll go over what I see as a potential good buy right now. So the Bitcoin miners today are relatively mixed. There's quite a bit of red, there's a little bit of green. Riot and Cypher are outperforming the group, and there's a reason for that. IREN is down 11% on this JP report. But first off, let's mention PCE that came out today. You'll notice that it came in higher than previous reads at 2.7%. This is the Fed's preferred gauge of inflation, and it's not coming down drastically. It's not going more lower, it's actually going higher. Although apparently 2.7% was the expectation, so we didn't get a massive surprise over the expectation, we are still seeing inflation go up, not down. Now once we get into October and coming up to the October Fed meeting, we do have some more inflation data coming, PPI and CPI, and these have also been going up. The reason we got a cut in September was because of the poor job market. As it stands, the market still expects more than likely a cut in October, despite what PCE just gave us. But these two will be important, PPI, CPI, and of course future job data. Does the job market start to strengthen a little bit? And does CPI and PPI come down more or go higher? This could change the trajectory of the Fed cuts. All right, now let's talk about this downgrade from JP. They downgraded IREN and CleanSpark, upgraded Riot. They gave Riot overweight, downgraded IREN to underweight. CleanSpark received a neutral rating, and they framed this potential upside from HPC. That's kind of a wait and see thing with CleanSpark at least. But this report that came out today, as of this upload, talked about IREN raised their target to 24 from 16, which is kind of funny because it was a price target increase. However, the share price is much over that. They gave Cypher a 12 from 16, Riot a 19 from 15. So now you see why Cypher and Riot ran a little bit. They also trimmed their target for CleanSpark to 14 from 15, Mara to 20 from 22. I think they are very far off from CleanSpark, Mara, and even Riot, in my opinion. And they believe these price targets go into December of 2026. They also mention a 50% probability that the leading Bitcoin miners sign new co-location deals using excess power. And under that framework, Riot, they believe, gives the most upside, a 14% upside, which to me, these Bitcoin miners deserve more, especially Riot, 14%. IREN appears to be fully pricing in a record scale Sweetwater deal, exposing it to more downside risk than near-term gain. You have to realize how much IREN has ran. While I'm bullish on IREN for the long term, I too believe it was due for a pullback. It's very, very overbought on the weekly, and it has given multiples just from April. Like, we're talking like a 700-800%. But even I couldn't see this JPM report coming. I'm not patting myself on the back or anything saying that, oh, I was right, IREN's due for a pullback. This JPM report is the reason for that. No one could have seen that coming. They could have just easily given a crazy price target and it could have rallied, you know. But we have some good news here. Cramer saying IREN is too hot. We know the Cramer effect is real. When Cramer is bullish on something, it goes down. And when Cramer is bearish on something, usually it goes up. So we do have that going for us in terms of IREN. Jokes aside though, let's look at IREN's chart. And you might have remembered hearing me say, you know, IREN could be a potential short on a break of this structure. We haven't broken structure yet. It is not a good short in my opinion. It would still be stupid risky to do so. I would be looking for this structure, this multi-month structure to break, and it hasn't. IREN started on this pattern in April at $5. $5 stock. The multiples from there were vast. Many of us saw it coming. Many of us believed, wow, IREN at $5, IREN at $2, IREN at $10 is a buy. We're getting a lot of multiples here. IREN from there was about 700%. You got to ask yourself, if you're buying IREN here, if you're buying IREN in the future at $50, $60, $70, what kind of upside are you expecting? Don't just buy into blind hype. There's people on WEBULL, it really irritates me sometimes. There's people saying that this is a sale. And maybe when you look a year from now, you'll say, wow, $40 isn't bad for IREN. But this is not a sale. It is all relative. From where it was weeks ago, this is not a sale. This is a premium. Not only was the overbought RSI on the weekly a major red flag, but how bullish retail are. If you go on any socials, look at how much bullish people are on IREN. Are people giving the same bullishness to other Bitcoin miners that haven't seen this massive 700% run yet? Then that should tell you a lot. People are chasing, people are getting FOMO, and that tends to end badly. And I will say again, I am bullish on IREN for the long term. just to kind of hammer that into people's heads. I believe one day IREN could be a $100 stock, could be a $150, $200 stock on one, continued profitability consistently, and two, seeing Bitcoin continue higher. This is, for the most part, still as it stands, a Bitcoin miner by the vast majority. Their Bitcoin mining takes the vast majority of their revenue. The AI side is still starting. It's still in its infancy phases in reality. But people are pricing in so much future growth here. There's no denying that. Long story short, don't short IREN here, in my opinion. It is not worth shorting here. You will likely get burnt. Same with buying here. Doing either of those things, in my opinion, here is a very high risk deal. I would wait for one, structure to break. Wait to see like a bearish RSI divergence on the daily, maybe some news of dilution, something along those lines. Don't just blindly short something, and don't just blindly buy calls here as well. That to me would be ridiculous. At least have an exit plan if doing so. Have a if this then that plan. Now looking at Bitcoin, Bitcoin broke its multi-month structure that it started back here in April. You can see that once we broke this uptrend, we fell, tried to break back over the 50 MA. Resistance there, didn't break back over, fell down, tried to hold this ascending support that we have bounced off of multiple times throughout the months, and it fell. Look at that reaction. Look at that reaction. The market was watching the same things. Isn't that fantastic? Sometimes it's like these patterns do play out. Not always, but there are times like this where it's like almost written in stone. You can almost just see it all coming to fruition. Next, what in my opinion Bitcoin needs to do is hold up its September lows. Yes, we are in September. Typically a bad month for Bitcoin. I'm not going to go back to every cycle. I have multiple videos doing that, showing you past cycles and what September does. There's typically a flash crash almost every time. And here we are, no different. September on a peak year being bad. Actually, still not bad, because September started at 108 something and we are here at like 109. So we are still slightly green on September. There's a couple days left though. Maybe it turns red. Maybe this is one of the first Septembers that is like a slightly green September on a peak year. If we take out our September lows, there's a possibility we head down to the 200 MA. A healthy pullback for Bitcoin, in my opinion, isn't bad. It has been in a very beautiful uptrend. In April, it was a $93,000 price. It's still $109,000. It's still doing all right. People complain about this cycle and ignore diminishing returns. You know, Bitcoin has still done pretty fantastic this cycle. Look at that. This was a $15,000 price in crypto winter when Bitcoin miners were extremely cheap. IREN was $1. BTBT was 50 cents. CleanSpark was like under $2. MicroStrategy was extremely low in price. Bitcoin was 15,000. You know, my speculation, my projection that I've had for quite a long time is that Bitcoin will give a 10x this cycle. Future cycles will be less. Diminishing returns. Bitcoin's market cap gets larger, so it's harder to see these massive crazy multiples, if that makes sense. I still think, even here, even with this September pullback, which many predicted, many people have called for this, even with this, I think 150,000 is still in play by the end of the year. Those $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 price targets by the end of the year, though, are sounding a bit ridiculous here. Now, if you too believe that IREN is a little too overbought, a little too overvalued, maybe due for a pullback before you consider jumping in, well, what other opportunities are out there? For one, I think a lot of the Bitcoin miners, other than IREN, are still very undervalued here. Let's look at, for example, Mara holds 52,000 Bitcoin. Riot holds 19,000 Bitcoin. CleanSpark holds 12,000 Bitcoin. Hut 8, 10,000. You know, there's of course MicroStrategy holding the vast majority of the Bitcoin out of everybody. These companies, in my opinion, are set to shine once Bitcoin can break back out. If Bitcoin can break back to its all-time highs, start taking out new prices we've never seen before, I do believe the companies with massive Bitcoin holdings are going to benefit most. Remember how Mara holds 52,000 Bitcoin? 52,000 Bitcoin brought to dollar amount is $5.6 billion. $5,687,344,000. What's Mara's market cap? Well, it's very close. They're trading almost at their Bitcoin holdings. $5.9 billion is their current market cap. To me, there's value there. You know, the same with the other Bitcoin miners that hold good amounts of Bitcoin. There is value there, in my opinion. I'm not trying to shit on IREN. I love IREN as a company, especially when it's $5, $10. But IREN, with an $11 billion market cap, with no Bitcoin holdings, they don't hold Bitcoin. They sell their Bitcoin that they mine. They are the most efficient though, which is very important, which is key, I have said. And that's one thing to think about on the long term. You know, IREN is the most efficient Bitcoin miner. Of course, they've got a lot of AI potential and all that stuff. So long term, like I said, it's a buy. But you know, an $11 billion market cap, double the market cap of something like Mara with 52,000 Bitcoin, as we potentially reach the end of this cycle, that massive Bitcoin end of year run that we have seen every cycle. You know, I see other opportunities. Look at that PE ratio, 107. I mean, there's a reason that JPM jumped in here and decided, okay, IREN needs to cool down. Maybe they're obviously shorting it or something. But you know, the retail hype is crazy for IREN right now, which to me is one of the massive red flags. So I guess my point is be careful, you know, look for opportunities. You know, that's why crypto winter was so powerful. People were so negative. Everyone on retail hated CleanSpark when it was $2. Everyone in retail hated IREN when it was $1, $2. Everyone in retail hated BTBT when it was 50 cents to $1. Hated buying Bitcoin. No one wanted Bitcoin at $15,000, $20,000. People were pissed. People hated it. Those were the best opportunities to buy when retail was extremely negative, when retail jokes in your face, when retail laughs at you for buying something, says that you're stupid, that it's just going to go lower. Sometimes you got to take that leap at some point, and despite potentially it going lower, you see value there. And you believe over the long term you're getting 5, 10x down the road. So you got to ask yourself, if you're buying IREN here at 42, are you going to get a 5 to 10x down the road from this price? And if you believe you are, then that's fantastic. It probably will do that over the long term. If IREN can stay consistently profitable, which they're more likely than any other Bitcoin miner in my opinion, to stay consistently profitable. So, you know, I'm not just here hating IREN. I love IREN as a company. I just don't love its current valuation. But let me know what you guys think. Am I a madman? Am I crazy? Or do you too believe IREN, you know, coming down a bit would be a good buying opportunity? Where do you see value right now? Are you looking at other Bitcoin miners that haven't been running lately? Are you buying into IREN because of its long-term potential, of which there is a lot? Are you taking advantage of Bitcoin here in September, which is typically not a great month, buying the alts potentially? Let me know what you guys are doing. If you found something useful out of this video, make sure you like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, and have a weekend. Have a good weekend, guys.